What's going on, everybody? Steve V here with another video. I hope everybody's doing well out there. So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to do a countdown of my top 10 favorite NES games I played growing up as a child. Now, in the early 90s, when I would go visit my grandfather, my aunt at the time was living with him still, and she had an NES. So, after hanging out with my grandfather for about 45 minutes to an hour, I would end up going to my aunt and ask if I could play her Nintendo. She was always nice enough to say yes. So then from there, I would grab my bowl of chips, my Coca-Cola, I'd go to the room where she had it set up at, and play Nintendo games for hours. And the NES was the first console I ever played, so it really shaped my idea of what video games were and how fun they could be to play. So I thought it would be fun to go back in time and remember 10 great games that I used to play when I was a kid. And just before I tell you guys what my number one is, I'm also going to do some honorable mentions because there was a lot of games that didn't make the top 10, but I still have some great memories of playing. But my number one is probably the game that had the biggest impact on me and a game that I still love going back to play to this day. So I'm going to start at number 10, and then from there we'll kind of work our way down. Like I said, I'll do a little honorable mentions just before one, just to kind of shout out some games that I also had a really great time playing, and then I'll let you guys know what my number one is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get it started. So MC Kids was a game that was really cool to play growing up because it had a tie-in to McDonald's. You were helping Ronald McDonald try to get his magic bag back from the Hamburglar. And you would play through these levels that definitely were influenced by Mario games. There were some similarities, but then there was also some unique things that I only seen in this game. Like if you were on a platform that had these black squares on the side, if you ran really quick, it would make you go upside down, and basically you would play the level upside down, which I've never seen any other game do that. It was really cool. It was a game that my aunt owned, so it was one of the first games I played on the NES, and that's why I have to put it at number 10. The Batman NES game was a game that was really cool to play growing up because I was such a big Batman fan. It was loosely based on the movie. The final boss that you versed was the Joker, and you fought him in a clock tower, just like in the movie. There were some cutscenes in between some of the levels that definitely were influenced by the movie, but for the most part, the levels that you played through and some of the bad guys that you versed had nothing to do with the movie. It was kind of all just original stuff, but it was really neat to play as the Batman, because as a kid, I dreamed of being the Batman. The Batman was somebody I idolized, so to actually play as the Batman through this NES port, it was fantastic, and that's why I had to put this game on my list. So coming in at number 8 is Duck Hunt. Now this game was very innovative for its time because it allowed you to basically hook up a light gun to your NES and you could play a shooting game at home. At the time, I think the only shooting games you could really play were in the arcades. I don't remember any other home console having this option. So to basically be able to play a shooting game in your home, you know, shooting these ducks, every time you miss, that stupid dog laughs at you, so I'm sure a lot of us tried to shoot that dog as well. It was just really innovative, and it was a game that I had so much fun playing when I was a kid. I remember I would get really close to the screen thinking if I was close enough, I couldn't miss. But meanwhile, being that close to the screen actually made the gun not read properly, so I would actually miss more. So it took me a while to kind of understand that you did actually have to stand a little bit away from the television, and that was how you're going to get the best result shooting these ducks.
Blades of Steel was my first sports game that I ever played on a console. And being Canadian, hockey is a big thing, obviously, in our culture. So it was really cool to be able to play this sports game that I watched on television and seen other people watch, but I could actually play as a hockey player. And this game was pretty cool because you could actually do some of the stuff that I actually seen in the real hockey games, like fight people, trip people. It was a very interesting game, and a game that really amused me as a kid because of the fact that you could do some of those extra things. Also, the song that would play before your game would start was very catchy. I can hear it in my head right now as I'm talking to you guys. Just a really great game. I always played as Toronto. Toronto was my team. And to this day, that's still the team that I cheer for. So Blades of Steel really kind of set a precedent for basically the team that I ended up cheering for, but also wanted to play as growing up. So Super Mario Bros. 2 was a really unique Mario game that basically took him out of the Mushroom Kingdom and put him in the Tales of Arabian Nights backdrop. You had magic carpets, you had some different bad guys. It was really, really unique for a Mario game. You had the option of picking between 4 different characters, and each character kind of had its own specialty. So Mario was kind of good at everything. Luigi could jump really high. Princess could float for a couple seconds when she jumped, and Toad, because he was short, just seemed to be a little more quick. So each character kind of offered a different thing that could kind of help you in different levels. I really enjoyed this game, and that's why I had to put it on my list. So coming in at number 5 is Kirbys Adventure, and this game I have very fond memories of because I had a really cool experience where, as a kid, we would go rent games sometimes, and we went to this place called Jumbo Video. That was basically our Blockbuster here in Canada, even though we had Blockbuster as well. And I remember it was always exciting because, you got to pick some games to basically have for about 3 to 5 days, and it would just be awesome. Well, this was a situation where we also rented the console. So, like I was telling you guys, the majority of NES games I played were on my aunt's console, but for a weekend, we rented the NES and we got a couple games with it, and one of them was Kirbys Adventure. And it was just a blast playing this game, being this little pink ball, sucking up bad guys, throwing them back out, spitting out fire, floating around. There was like bonus games within the game. It was just a really fun game, loaded with a lot of great stuff. So many fond memories with this game during that weekend, and that's why it comes in at number 5. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, was such a fantastic game. It was the closest you could get to playing that arcade port in your home. And when this game came out, it was at the height of my Turtle fandom. I mean, the early 90s, I was the biggest Ninja Turtle fan, and to be able to play as the Turtles and, fight these bad guys that I recognized from the show, try to save April O'Neil, try to get to Shredder and defeat Shredder, even though I was a big fan of Shredder as well. I always liked Shredder. It was just a great game, and every now and then, if I, turn on, my NES Mini or some type of emulation console, I usually always end up playing this game because it was that fun, and it really aged well with time because it is so close to the way the arcade port was, and the arcade port was just a phenomenal game. So to be able to have an NES version of that port, you can't go wrong with that. So Dr. Mario was a game that used to get so competitive when I played with my friends growing up, and it's a game that even when I play it now with my friends that are also in their 30s and grew up playing that game as well, if we turn it on now, we go right back to the way we were when we were kids, and we get right to that intense competitive gameplay that we were like when we were younger. it was a cool Tetris themed Mario game where, these pills, when they were coming down, they had two separate colors, and you had to really try to, pick that right spot to put that pill, because if you pick the wrong spot, next thing you know, your game was basically screwed. You had to be thinking quickly. You had to be on your toes and ready to go. And it wasn't a game where you could turn your head for 2 seconds. You had to be completely dialed in. And I think that's what I loved about this game. When you were playing it, you were in it. And a great game, and that's why I had to put it at number 3. So the original Super Mario Bros. Is the first Nintendo game I ever played. Now this game was fantastic. My aunt had the cartridge that was half Super Mario Bros, half Duck Hunt. So both those games got a lot of play, but Super Mario Bros was the one that took the majority of my attention. And the reason why was because it was such a phenomenal game. The colors, running around, jumping on bad guys, hidden blocks, trying to find those mushrooms, going up those steps, trying to jump as high as possible to get the top of the flag, try to get those fireworks, going into that sewerish cave level with that catchy song we all know and love. Just a phenomenal game that never got old to me. I mean, every time I went to my grandfather's house, I would sit there in that room where the NES was, with my bowl of chips, my drink, and I would just play this game for hours. And I really have a lot of fond memories playing that original Super Mario game, and it really made me fall in love with video games.
So before I show you guys what my number 1 is, I'm going to do some honorable mentions, because there were so many great games that I played growing up that it was impossible for me not to give them some spotlight. So here they are.
So what comes in at number 1 as my favorite NES game of all time is Super Mario Bros. 3. Now this game was everything you could possibly want in a video game. Beautiful looking game, great levels that, got harder as time went on. Amazing secrets, a lot of different things to find. I'm pretty sure there's still a lot of secrets in that game I still haven't found. Mario was already established at that time. So, we all played the original Super Mario Bros. Then we played Super Mario Bros. 2, which I know with that game, some people are kind of 50-50 on it, but I love that game. That's why that game made my list as well. So when Super Mario Bros. 3 came out, we really went full circle to basically give us the Super Mario game that we all really wanted. And it was a game that had elements of the first game, a few elements of the second game, and just a whole new, unique way of playing video games. You had the levels and you seen all the spots that you could go. You had options of where you could go. There was different things you can get in each level. You could find the leaf that would give you the raccoon tail and the ears and you can fly. You had the frog suit. You had the hammer that you could break down, a rock wall to maybe find another level. You had little bonus games, by going to the little mushroom house and, playing that matching game, or the matching cards. You had really great bosses to verse, you had those flutes that you had to try to find, and if you found the flute, you could skip to an even further level. This game had everything, and that's why not only is it my favorite NES game, it's my favorite Super Mario game of all time. Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo is a close second, but I have to put Super Mario Bros. 3 first because everything that was great about Super Mario World was really established in Super Mario 3 first. So it just makes sense to put that as number 1 because there would be no Super Mario World if there wasn't Super Mario Bros. 3. I love this game. It's a game that I still enjoy playing to this day, and I'm still finding new things out while playing this game. So that's why it's at number 1. It's the best NES game that I ever played and my favorite Super Mario game of all time. Thanks for watching the video, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this countdown. Take care, everyone. I'll see you guys on the next one.